Rarely ever does a directional debut amaze and surprise me, which in of itself shouldn't be such a shock. With a debut comes almost impossible expectations. There's production companies breathing down your neck with constant ensuring that your work will meet their financial expectations, and on top of this, your artistic vision has almost no value when you don't already have an impressive body of work behind you already. These monumental odds are always stacked against even the brightest of auteurs, and some of our favourite filmmakers today started rather disappointingly when developing their filmography. Christopher Nolan's following has always been a sound example, and even one of the more idiosyncratic voices today, David Cronenberg, has an opening feature that left me just plain bored. That isn't to say these more experimental pieces are failures, however, as we as an audience can clearly see a natural progression between these bodies of work into some of the greatest movies we've seen to date, which is extremely impressive in of itself. There are some directional debuts, however, which manage to break free of this unfortunate mold, managing to beat the odds and create spectacular visions filled with a new voice and extremely powerful filmmaking. This is exactly what newcomer Charlotte Wells managed to do with her coming-of-age drama Aftersun, creating a fascinating tale on familial relationships and the fluidity of memory. Our relationship to the past is rarely ever a stagnant one. In fact, it could be considered quite the opposite. Our views and opinions are ever changing, with subjectivity almost enforcing deep reflections within ourselves, granting this wonderfully torturous gift of hindsight. Humanity remembers the past through memory, and despite its unrivaled beauty, memory can be extremely painful when retrospection works against it. Sometimes the most painful thing about memory is the inability to identify its significance during that moment, so we inescapably undervalue moments as inconsequential, more often than not due to ignorance. In Charlotte Wells' film Aftersun, the link between reality, memory, and reflection is constantly blurred, encompassing the audience with a non-linear showcase of a father and daughter during a summer vacation in Turkey. The film follows Callum and Sophie as they enjoy each other's company on a coastal resort-like holiday. Sophie is capturing these cheerful moments with her father's mini DV camera, but as the film progresses, we slowly piece together that this holiday, and therefore footage, is the last time Sophie and Callum will spend time together, as Callum will tragically commit suicide after their Turkish holiday due to a long battle with depression. Reality, memories, and reflections therefore guide the film narratively, and it becomes very clear how Sophie perceives her father when breaking down these elements. First up, reality. Reality is shown very simply. It's the quiet moments that Callum and Sophie share together. There's no camcorder obscuring the image, it's simply a realistic look into the relationship of this father and daughter. Memories, however, are representative of the camera footage. The imperfections within this particular footage demonstrates the sense that time can fracture memory, and corrode this sense of timelessness. We even see an adult Sophie try to recapture memories of her father with this same footage, almost as if she is lurking behind the images, attempting to gather an understanding of a man she didn't truly know. Finally, the reflections. The reflections are depicted through a dancing strobe light sequence, which sees adult Sophie attempt to see her father for what he truly was. Charlotte Wells purposefully obstructs the image of Callum throughout these sequences, which suggests that Sophie is still struggling with this idea. Her emotions are complex and not always coherent because she doesn't know if she should be mad at her father or simply just miss him. These sequences are particularly tragic because we physically see Sophie attempt to cling onto these memories she has of her father, but these reflections are giving her a new perspective as she reaches a similar age to her father right before he died. All of these elements combined demonstrates a nuanced powerhouse of indie filmmaking, with Paul Mescal and Frankie Corio delivering mysteriously luminous performances that play off of each other with paradoxical energy. The ironic contrast in each of the characters also fills the film with interpretational bliss, as water and the sky are motifs that mean very different things for very connected characters. Also building off the thematic idea that Sophie lacks an understanding of Callum's true emotional state. The blue sky means hope and connection for Sophie, and the water represents opportunity, an opportunity that allows her to develop relationships with other older kids at the resort. For Callum, however, the sky represents the past, almost as if his life is meaningless when considering the scope of our world. He doesn't see it in the same way Sophie does. Instead, he feels an immediate disconnect when looking to the sky, like he has lost his daughter when he and his partner separated. Callum's relationship with water also seems far more pessimistic. There's a lack of control when the waves crash over him, mirroring his own experiences with life. This is why we see Callum practicing Tai Chi, or as Sophie calls it, ninja moves, which for him is a meditative practice that gives him some sort of control over his unpredictable life. The film's cinematographer, Gregory Oak, made an extremely creative stylistic decision to shoot on an Aricam light, which gives the film a grainy texture and fits the thematic elements of memories in home videos perfectly. The S4 lens accompanies this as well, almost as if to give the film a whimsical and often dreamlike atmosphere, almost like a cool calm before a tumultuous emotional storm. The more subtle approach to the film's cinematography can also represent thematic ideas, like an emotional disconnect, such as the scene with Callum attempting to take off his cast, with the mise-en-scène quite literally separating the two main characters within the composition. Charlotte Wells has clearly crafted a beautiful film that details the complex relationship of a father and daughter. Yet, for me, the true miracle of this film is that behind the film was a first-time director absolutely knocking this complicated medium out of the park. Hello my fellow cinephiles, thank you so much for watching my video essay on Aftersun. It was by far my favourite movie of 2022, so it just made perfect sense to cover it first on the channel. Charlotte Wells is an incredible director, and you bet I'll be there opening night for whatever she comes up with next. If you did enjoy, please consider subscribing and liking the video because I do have a lot more video essays planned and your support would mean the absolute world to me. Anyway, that's all from me today. I'll see you all in the next one.